Good morning. How are you? First, let me tell you, I turned the game off last night, and then the damn Bucks lost the game. Man, I'm pissed. All right. Anyhow, take care of that right away, right? Yeah. I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about this morning because there's just too much bullshit out there, and I don't know enough about some of the things that they're talking about. You know what I mean? I gotta know something when I talk. I can't just go out there and talk nothing. You know what I mean? It's just as much as people think I do that. That's not my style. I have to know a little bit about what's going on. Well, anyhow, so Trump sanctioned Maduro's family and a few other people for the oil that's on their way to the United States right now. That was stolen from the whatever country it was supposed to go to, which I'm not. They haven't got a destination country on that yet. I'm just surprised that a Venezuelan ship, as they call it, not flying under the Venezuelan flag, flying under a Ghana flag, which they say doesn't exist. They say they never registered it, but why they would be taking Iranian and was it Venezuela at all? I don't know. But why would they be taking that someplace when they have all this Venezuelan oil in the ground? You know, they have the largest underground oil field in the world. So I don't know. You know, I don't. There's a lot of things I don't get to understand sometimes, and that's one of the things that doesn't make a lot of sense. And here's the thing, when they trace the ownership of the ship, it goes back to a Russian company with a Russian oligarch, you know, so the sanctions don't mean shit to him, trust me. Sorry. I was just watching Bruce Springsteen sing Twist and Shout, so I'm a little choked up. I love Bruce. I can't say he's the greatest vocalist I ever heard or the greatest male singer I have ever heard, but Bruce gets the people into the music, and that's what I love to see. You know, I used to go to the bars all the time to listen to the local bands. You know, and he was one of them, and it's where I learned that, you know, if you want to have fun, you need a guy that's going to have fun. Now I went to a Bee Gees concert, and that was pretty professional, and it was just, they sort of just stood on the stage and danced around and all that stuff, but they really didn't get the crowd into it. Certain songs got the crowd upset and ready to go, but I mean, Bruce comes out and says, "What the fuck you doing sitting there? Let's go. You know, come on, party." Party, yeah, okay. So you got that down. All right, so let's go back to sanctions. I get distracted. Can you see how easily I am distracted? I am. Before I go any further, let me address this issue. I don't know what went wrong yesterday, but some people came up and told me the audio was good, but the video was bad when I went live. Now, what I'm looking at here, everything's fine. You know, someplace between here and your computers, there's a problem, and I can't do much about that, okay? So we'll try it a couple more times, and if it works out, if it's still going black, then I'm just going to give it up, you know, because I can't, there's nothing else I can really do. Because it's not here, because I'm looking at my stuff, and everything says everything's functioning properly. So I don't know. You know, it's like I'm looking at this video. If this video went black right now, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. You know, because there's no disconnects showing up or anything like that, you know. So that's that, folks. Right? So, what I mean, sanctions are I don't know, they're just some legal thing they do, you know. I don't think it really has a great deal of effect on anything, you know. Except prices. Prices go up. I know that, you know. But they showed the Louisiana redneck Christmas parade. It was on CNN. So it wasn't live. I watched some of it, and checked the interviews with these people. And, you know, The only guy that made any sense and sounded like he had half a brain was the first guy they interviewed, who was an older gentleman. They were all older. They weren't any kids in anything. But this was, when I was watching it, they said, you know, he brought out the point that politicians will say anything to get elected, good or bad politicians. They tell you what you want to hear. So, did he feel Trump was accomplishing everything? No, he says, I don't see the prices coming down, but gas prices in Louisiana were down. Now, I don't know whether they brought them down because of something Trump did or just because Louisiana's an oil port, you know, and they didn't have a heavy hurricane season, so they probably have a surplus of oil down there. Now, when you also get a surplus of oil when there isn't a cold winter, you know, now we'll have to just wait and see what happens. You know, but I don't, you know, oil prices going down, come on, these guys make money, they're not going to stop making money. The gas prices are controlled by the Gasoline Association, you know. They're only allowed to raise the prices so much above. This is the thing that this is why these guys go out of business all the time. They can only raise the price so much above what it costs them, you know. Where they make their profits is when there's a price change and their tanks are full. You know, that's why you see guys topping off their tanks all the time. You know, because when it's full, everything that's in that tank can be sold at a higher price if there's a price drop. All right, and they make money. And then they cut the prices, you know, to the consumer. So what else am I looking at right now? What else was I talking about? Did I see this morning? He was, Trump is an asshole. We know that. And you get these articles. I swear to God, you know, if you where you get your news from determines a whole lot, because most of the stories I'm hearing about, I don't see in regular news, you know. So I don't know whether they're true or not. I can't. That's why I don't. You know, I tell you, I don't believe everything anymore. I don't believe anything anymore until I can somehow or another prove it. Oh, there's a breaking news thing on CNN. New photos released from Epstein's estate showing Trump, Bannon, Bill Clinton, and other high-profile people. Well, first of all, we all know Trump was there. And Bill Clinton doesn't bother me anymore. You know, he's out of public office. He did what he did. He did his own thing in the Oval Office. I mean, he got a blowjob, you know, from that young lady, and you know, that's part of the problem we have. You know, that was why you know, and I wasn't surprised about that, because they talked about all the similarities between him and John Kennedy. And John Kennedy was a womanizer. You know, he was doing chicks he should not have been doing. You know, and there's all kinds of rumors going on about stuff that happened to some of those women. So, you know, none of the politicians aren't angels, and I understand that. But in Epstein's case, it's kids that they were molesting, and that bothers me. And if they find out that Clinton was there, he should be charged. Bannon should be charged. Trump should be charged. Trump should be thrown out of office. You know, like they did to, I don't know what this deal with that football coach is going on in Minnesota, or Michigan rather. You know, they're not telling us anything. And that kind of bothers me. Trump screwed up in Indiana. Well, so what does that bother me for, you know? Here's a big deal, and people aren't going to say it's a big deal, okay? They're doing away with the penny, which means you can't, everything has to be rounded off. And they're going to round up when they do that. When they run out of pennies, they're going to round up, okay? And this is coming very shortly, if it hasn't started already. They're probably rounding up already, and they're hoarding their pennies, you know. Uh, so in other words, if you get 3 for 99, you get 3 for $1. Okay, so you lose a penny there. If it was 33 cents, it's going to be 35 cents. It's going to go up 2 cents a piece now. Okay, so you lose 6 cents a can. 6 cents if you buy 3 of them separately at the regular price. So everything that's going to happen is going to cause prices to react in an upward direction. And you're looking at pennies and people aren't that concerned. But when you look at the end of the day and you look at your grocery check for 4 people and you're buying for the week, it's up $10 or something like that. That's a big deal. And that's what's going to happen. All right? And those prices are never coming down. All right? So don't even think about that. I mean, that's just that's just common sense. That's not anything I don't know what to say. It's nothing what the hell happened there? That's nothing that's special about that. They've been trying to get rid of the penny for years. It's going to cost a lot of money, and you're going to get paid. You're going to have to deal with the cost of the retooling and stuff that's going to be done, the reprogramming of every computer in the world. I don't know how they're going to do this. It just seems to me that it's I don't know if it's a dumb thing to do, but it's not the smartest thing in the world to do. And the reason it gets expensive to make the pennies because everybody hoards copper. They take because copper's easy thing for the average American to get a hold of. They go and rip it out of a house, old house or something. You steal the copper piping. It's worth a lot of money. People don't realize that. I had it explained to me when we tried to remove some copper plumbing from an old hotel, and they told us we couldn't do it. I said, well, what's the problem? And they said because it's the value of it, and it makes it grand theft. I said, oh, okay, you keep the friggin' copper. It's too much trouble for me to get rid of anyhow. So there are people where it's not too much trouble because they have less money than I do. And I don't have a lot of money. I just have enough. That's all I want. I got enough. And if somebody comes along and tries to take it from me and I don't have enough, then there's going to be a serious, serious problem. So let's see, entertainment. Disney made a deal with OpenAI, and everybody's calling it a $1 billion hedge on the future of slop. I didn't even want to go into that. They're just made, Disney's just, Trump's not letting anybody doesn't want any regulations on AI. Doesn't want states to be able to regulate AI. Because Trump sees the end of labor forces. See, he hates labor. He's never done any, but he hates it. He hates the strength that they have, that they can determine some policies and whatnot. And he doesn't want that to happen anymore, so he's going to do away with labor. And if you people have to understand, there's going to be hundreds, if not millions of jobs lost due to AI, to the point where the human being becomes extinct as far as this planet is concerned. The only people that will survive are the people that are invested in AI, in the machinery and whatnot. But the people that are, they don't need to be fed, these people. So it's going to affect agriculture, everything else. Oh, boy. I got to look up something this afternoon, later on today, about the Bruce Lee, about rock and roll. I love to look up that stuff. But it's, you see a headline like this: Trump in crisis mode as red state revolts. There's no fucking revolt. Okay, they just disagreed with him to a certain degree, or prevented him from doing something he wanted to do in that particular state. But Trump doesn't go into a crisis mode about anything. He doesn't understand the term crisis. Okay, you have to know that Trump's mind is somewhere it shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? It's out there. Uh, it's gone. Now, there's a thing going on where Trump's going to have his face, wants to have his, I think Trump wants to have his face on money. You know? So, that's going to, make me want to throw up and get rid of my dollar. Well, I'll keep my dollars. The couple dollars that I have, I'll keep them. They'll be worth some money if he does that. But Trump wants, everything with his face on it. Oh, going back to that redneck parade, the one thing that seemed to upset a lot of people was what he was doing to the East Wing with the ballroom with all the gold and shit in it. They just kind of thought that was, well, that's because they don't understand him. They think he's, somehow or another, they think he's a good guy. And trust me, the one thing he isn't is a good guy. Okay? There are a lot of things that are said about him that, may or may not be true, but he is definitely not a good individual. You know what I'm saying? He's a first-class prick. All right, now that I've ruined Friday for everybody by talking about Donald Trump most of the morning, let me tell you, the football Saturday is coming up, my predictions for Saturday. We only got a couple more weeks of this. I'm so sad. It seemed like the football season went really fast. And I'm so disappointed because the games, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's not exciting as I thought it would, as it was last year, and I don't know why. But I'm not really as into it as I was last year, so I don't know why. Maybe because of everything else that's going on. I don't know. Maybe that's what's just bringing me down, bringing me down. My wife, and her illness. She's having a lumbar puncture test today. They're doing a spinal tap thing, and I worry about her. I'll survive. But if something happens to me, I don't know how she's going to survive. She's going to end up with one of her kids, and I don't know which one's going to take her. She's not going to want to, but she's going to have to. And her condition right now, unless it improves, if her condition improves, she'll be fine. She can get out and walk around a little bit, just improve her walking ability a little bit to be fine. All right, so what did I say? Nothing. That's it. I'm done. Hey, hit that subscribe button. What's wrong with you? Don't just look at it. Pound it. Subscribe 3 or 4 times. I don't care. I don't make any money off of this. I'm just trying to build my cred, you know what I'm saying? Build my cred with my friends and family. All right, so take care. I will see you tomorrow, and I'll be back in, I'm going straight to the video now. Okay, I'm going straight live right after this. It takes me a couple minutes to get everything together, but I should be up by 11 o'clock. All right, so I'll talk to you later.